Captain Jack Wilson stood on the bridge of the starship Defiance, his eyes fixed on the vast darkness of space through the main view screen. Stars twinkled in the distance like tiny diamonds on black cloth. The ship hummed softly around him, its engines running smooth and quiet. This ship should not exist. Every part of it broke the rules. For 50 years, humans had lived under the strict laws of the two most powerful alien groups in the galaxy, the Crimson Lords who ruled the inner core worlds, and the Nova Lords who controlled the outer rim. Both alien powers had the same rule for humans. Stay small, stay weak, build nothing that could fight back. The Defiance broke all those rules. "Status report," Jack said, his voice firm but calm. His face looked tired, with lines around his eyes that showed years of worry. His dark uniform fit well on his tall frame. First Officer Anna Reed looked up from her control panel. Her short brown hair framed a face with sharp, alert eyes. "All systems working well, Captain. Stealth systems at full power. No one can see us right now." "Good," Jack nodded. "And the new engines?" Chief Engineer Tom Harris grinned from his station. Tom was shorter than Jack, with strong hands and a mind that could solve any problem. His gray-streaked beard couldn't hide his smile. "The engines are running better than we hoped, Captain," Tom said. "Those special parts we borrowed from the aliens work even better than I thought they would." Jack almost smiled at Tom's choice of words. Borrowed was a nice way to say stole in the dark of night from heavily guarded alien research bases. "How long until we reach the Vega checkpoint?" Jack asked. Mike Bell, the ship's pilot, checked his screens. He was young, barely 30, with quick hands and sharp eyes. 3 hours at current speed, Captain. We could go faster, but it would make us easier to detect. Keep this speed, Jack ordered. I want surprise on our side. Lisa Green, the communications officer, turned in her chair. Her dark skin contrasted with the white glow of her screens. Captain, I've checked all frequencies. No sign that anyone has spotted us. Let's keep it that way, Jack replied. Jack moved to the center of the bridge, looking at each crew member. 50 of Earth's best, pilots, engineers, fighters, and thinkers. All volunteers, all ready to risk everything. Today we start something that cannot be stopped, he said, his voice carrying across the quiet bridge. For too long, we humans have lived as pets of the aliens. They call us a protected species. They say their rules keep us safe. His hands tightened into fists at his sides. But we know the truth. Their rules keep us weak. They let us have small ships that can barely leave our own star system. They give us scraps of technology, but keep the best for themselves. They make us work in their mines and factories while they grow rich from our labor. Several crew members nodded, anger clear on their faces. The Defiance changes everything, Jack continued. This ship has weapons that can match theirs, shields they can't break easily, engines faster than they think possible for humans to build. We will show them that humans are not pets to be kept in a cage. Dave Moore, the intelligence officer, stood up from his station. He was thin and quiet, with eyes that missed nothing. Captain, I've finished analyzing the patrol patterns at Vega checkpoint. There's a gap in their coverage every 6 hours. If we time our approach right, we can get very close before they spot us. Good work, Dave. Jack turned to Anna. Set condition yellow throughout the ship. I want everyone ready when we reach Vega. Anna nodded and touched her communication panel. All sections, condition yellow. Prepare for possible contact in 3 hours. Jack returned to the main view screen, watching the stars. The plan was simple but dangerous. Vega checkpoint was a major control point where the Crimson Lords watched all ships entering their territory. The Defiance would reveal itself, disable, not destroy, the patrol ships, and broadcast their message to all human colonies. The message was simple. Humans would no longer obey rules that kept them weak. The Defiance would show what humans could build when they tried, and offer protection to any human world that wanted freedom. Captain, Tom called from his station. I'd like to check something in the engine room. Some of the readings from the alien tech are unusual. Jack frowned. Unusual how? Small power fluctuations. Probably nothing, but I'd rather be sure. Go, Jack nodded. I want everything working perfectly when we reach Vega. As Tom left, Jack turned to Anna. What do you think our chances are? Anna thought for a moment before answering. The plan is good. The ship is strong. The crew is ready. She paused. But the aliens have ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. They won't give up power easily. They won't have a choice, Jack said firmly. Once other humans see what we've done, they'll start to fight back too. One ship becomes 2, then 10, then a fleet. If we live that long, Anna said quietly. Jack smiled slightly. That's why we're not giving them time to prepare. Speed and surprise, Anna. Hit hard. Move fast. Never stay in one place long enough for them to gather their forces. The bridge fell silent as everyone focused on their work. Jack knew they were all thinking the same thing. They were 50 humans in one ship, about to challenge the 2 most powerful forces in the galaxy. The odds were not good, but humans had faced bad odds before. From the first time they left Earth in simple rockets, to the day they met aliens who looked down on them as primitives, humans had always fought against the limits others tried to place on them. In the quiet of his mind, Jack knew something no one else on the bridge knew. This mission was not just about showing strength or breaking rules. It was about a discovery made 10 years ago on a distant human mining colony, a discovery the aliens had worked hard to keep secret, a discovery that had made both the Crimson Lords and Nova Lords suddenly very interested in controlling every human world. Jack had seen the evidence with his own eyes. He knew why the aliens feared humans. And after today, the aliens would have good reason to be afraid. Captain, Lisa said suddenly, breaking the silence, I'm picking up a signal. It's strange. Jack turned sharply. Strange how? Lisa's fingers moved quickly over her controls. It's very weak, and it's not on any standard frequency, but it's definitely there. And she looked up, her eyes wide. It's coming from inside our ship. Jack felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. Can you locate it? Working on it now, but it's moving. Almost as if someone on this ship is carrying a transmitter. Dave finished for her, already moving toward the exit. I'll start scanning the crew. Do it quietly, Jack ordered. We might have a spy on board, and I don't want them to know we're looking. As Dave left, Jack shared a long look with Anna. They had expected challenges from outside the ship, not from within. Should we delay the mission? Anna asked softly. Jack shook his head. No. We keep going. But now we watch each other carefully. The Defiance continued its silent journey toward Vega checkpoint, carrying its crew of rebels, its cargo of hope, and somewhere within its halls, a traitor. The Defiance slowed as it approached the Vega checkpoint. Through the main view screen, Captain Jack Wilson could see the massive space station that served as the Crimson Lord's border control. Around it, 3 patrol ships moved in regular patterns, their red hulls gleaming in the light of the nearby star. 1 hour until we enter their sensor range, Mike said from the pilot station. His fingers hovered over the controls, ready to act fast if needed. Dave Moore, the intelligence officer, returned to the bridge. His face was serious as he approached Jack. Captain, we've checked all crew members and all ship areas, he said quietly. We found the source of the signal. Jack's eyes narrowed. And it's not a person. It's a thing. Dave handed Jack a small data pad. One of the alien engine parts we borrowed has a hidden transmitter inside it. Very small, very hard to find. Can we remove it? Jack asked. Tom Harris, who had returned from the engine room, shook his head. Not without shutting down the engines completely. It's built into the core. Who is it sending signals to? Anna asked, joining the conversation. Dave looked troubled. That's the strange part. It's not sending to the Crimson Lords or any known communication relay. The signal is aimed toward the outer rim. The Nova Lords, Jack said, his voice hard. They're tracking us. This was bad news. The plan had been to deal with only the Crimson Lords at this stage. If the Nova Lords were also watching, things could get much more complicated. Should we turn back? Anna asked, keeping her voice low so other crew members wouldn't hear. Jack thought for a long moment, looking at the alien station ahead. No, we continue, but we changed the plan. He turned to face his officers. The Nova Lords are watching us. Fine, let them watch. Let them see what we do to the Crimson Lords' patrol ships. He moved to the center of the bridge and raised his voice so all could hear. Listen carefully, everyone. We have a change of plans. The crew turned to look at him, their faces showing a mix of worry and determination. The Nova Lords know we're here. They've been tracking us through a hidden device in our engines. But we won't let that stop us. Jack's voice grew stronger. In fact, we'll use it to our advantage. He pointed to the view screen showing the checkpoint ahead. The Crimson Lords and Nova Lords have been enemies for centuries. They fight over territory, resources, and power. But they agree on one thing: keeping humans weak. Jack smiled, but there was no warmth in it. So let's show them both what humans can do. Lisa, prepare to broadcast on all frequencies, including Nova Lord channels. Mike, plot an attack course that will be visible to anyone watching from the outer rim. The bridge burst into activity as everyone prepared for battle. Weapons status? Jack asked. All weapons ready, Captain, replied the weapons officer. Targeting systems locked on the patrol ship's engines and weapons. We can disable them without destroying them. Shields. Shields at full power, Tom reported. The alien technology is working perfectly, even if it is spying on us. Jack nodded and sat in the command chair. All sections, battle stations. This is not a drill. Red lights flashed throughout the ship as crew members rushed to their positions. The Defiance moved forward, accelerating toward the checkpoint. They'd spotted us. Lissa called out, Crimson patrol ships are changing course to intercept. On the view screen, the 3 red patrol ships turned sharply, moving to surround the Defiance. They're hailing us, Lisa added, ordering us to stop and prepare for boarding. Ignore them, Jack ordered. Continue on course. The first shots came from the largest patrol ship, bright energy beams that flashed across space toward the Defiance. Shields holding, Tom reported as the ship shook slightly. They're testing us, not using full power yet. Return fire, Jack ordered. Disable their weapons first. The Defiance fired back, its weapons far stronger than the patrol ships expected from a human vessel. The first shots hit the lead ship's main gun, causing small explosions along its hull. Direct hit, the weapons officer called. Their forward weapons are offline. They're calling for reinforcements, Lisa reported. And she paused, listening to her headset. Captain, there's another signal, coming from the outer rim. Jack tensed. The Nova Lords are making their move. Before he could say more, a massive flash of light appeared at the edge of the system. A ship emerged, much larger than the patrol vessels, its dark blue hull marked with the symbols of the Nova Lords. Nova Lord battlecruiser, Dave exclaimed. That's their newest class of warship. It shouldn't even be in this sector. The bridge fell silent as everyone stared at the massive alien ship. It was at least 10 times the size of the Defiance, with weapons that could destroy them with a single shot. To everyone's surprise, the Nova Lord ship ignored the Defiance completely. Instead, it opened fire on the Crimson Lord patrol ships, destroying one instantly. What are they doing? Anna whispered, watching as the remaining patrol ships scrambled to flee. They're attacking their enemies while they're distracted with us, Jack said. Classic Nova Lord tactics. The second patrol ship exploded as the Nova Lord battlecruiser continued its attack. The third managed to turn and accelerate away, but laser fire caught its engines, leaving it drifting helplessly. "They're hailing us," Lisa said, her voice shaking slightly. "The Nova Lords want to talk." Jack exchanged looks with Anna. This was not part of the plan. "Put them on screen," he ordered. The view screen changed to show the bridge of the Nova Lord ship. In the center stood a tall alien figure. Unlike humans, the Nova Lords had metallic blue skin that seemed to shimmer with internal light. Their eyes were large and completely black, with no visible pupils. This one wore ornate armor that marked him as a high-ranking officer. "Human vessel," the alien said in a deep voice. "I am Admiral Krell of the Nova Lord fleet. Your actions today have proved interesting." Jack stood to face the screen. "This is Captain Jack Wilson of the independent human warship Defiance. We didn't come here for your help." Admiral Krell made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Help? No, Captain. We didn't come to help you. We came to evaluate you." "Evaluate?" Jack asked, keeping his face calm despite his confusion. "Yes." The alien's black eyes seemed to stare directly into Jack's soul. "For many years, we have watched humans struggle under Crimson Lord rules. We have seen your potential." The way he said potential made Jack's skin crawl. "What do you want, Admiral?" Jack asked directly. "An alliance," Krell replied. "The Crimson Lords grow too powerful. Together, we could balance the scales." Jack didn't trust this sudden offer for a second. And what would humans get from this alliance? Freedom to build ships like yours. Access to Nova Lord technology. Protection from Crimson Lord revenge. The alien's face remained unreadable. "You have one of your Earth days to consider our offer." The screen went dark as the Nova Lords cut the transmission. "They're moving away," Mike reported, heading back toward the edge of the system, but not leaving completely. Jack turned to his officers. "Opinions?" "It's a trap," Dave said immediately. "The Nova Lords have never shown interest in helping humans before. But they did just save us from those patrol ships," Lisa pointed out. "Only because it served their purposes to attack Crimson Lord ships," Anna countered. Jack looked back at the view screen, where the massive Nova Lord ship waited in the distance. "One thing is certain," he said slowly. "Nothing is as simple as we thought. And someone on Earth knew this would happen." He turned to Dave. "Find out who helped us get those engine parts. I think they have a lot to explain." The Defiance hung in space between two powerful enemies, and Jack knew their next decision could change the fate of all humans in the galaxy. Captain Jack Wilson called a meeting in the Defiance's secure conference room. The ship was holding position at a safe distance from the Nova Lord battlecruiser, hiding behind a small moon to block any direct scans. Around the table sat his most trusted officers: Anna, Tom, Dave, Mike, and Lisa. Their faces showed worry and confusion after the unexpected events at the checkpoint. "We need to decide what to do about the Nova Lord's offer," Jack began, his voice calm despite the tension in the room. "But first, I want to know how they knew where to find us." All eyes turned to Dave, who had been investigating the hidden transmitter. "I have some answers, but they raise more questions," Dave said, placing a small device on the table. It was no bigger than a coin, made of a strange blue-black metal. "This is the transmitter we found. It's Nova Lord technology, very advanced." "Where exactly was it hidden?" Jack asked. Tom leaned forward. "Inside the core of the main engine regulator, one of the parts we took from the research base on Europa." Jack frowned. Europa was one of Earth's moon bases, supposedly under human control, but heavily monitored by Crimson Lord advisors. "And who helped us get those parts?" Jack asked. Anna looked uncomfortable. "That came through General Brooks at Earth Defense Command. He said he had friends who could get us what we needed." "Friends," Jack repeated, his voice flat. "It seems those friends were working for the Nova Lords." The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. Their mission Supposedly a human rebellion against alien control had been compromised from the start. "There's more," Dave said, tapping on his datapad. "I've been analyzing communications from Earth over the past year. There's a pattern of messages between certain military officials and unknown sources, always heavily encrypted, always around the times when key decisions about the Defiance project were made. Are you saying Earth Defense Command is working with the Nova Lords?" Lisa asked, shocked. "Not all of them," Dave replied. "Maybe just a few high-ranking officers. But yes, that's exactly what this looks like." Jack stood and walked to the view screen on the wall, which showed the distant shape of the Nova Lordship. "The question is why? Why would human officers help one alien power against another?" "Maybe they think the Nova Lords would be better masters than the Crimson Lords," Mike suggested. "Or maybe they're being tricked," Tom added. "The Nova Lords are known for their mind-influencing technology." Jack turned back to the table. "We need more information before we make any decision. Lisa, can you access Earth Defense Command secure files from here?" Lisa hesitated. "That would be breaking about a dozen security protocols." "This whole ship breaks every rule in the book," Jack replied with a small smile. "What's a few more?" "I'll try," Lisa nodded. "But it will take time, and I'll need Tom's help to boost our signal without being detected." "Do it," Jack ordered. "Tom, give her whatever she needs." As Lisa and Tom left to work on accessing the files, Jack turned to Anna. "What's your assessment of Admiral Krell's offer?" Anna considered for a moment. It seemed too convenient. The Nova Lords have never shown interest in helping humans before. If anything, they've been harsher than the Crimson Lords in their territories. So why offer an alliance now? Jack wondered aloud. "Because we've shown we can build something like the Defiance," Dave suggested. "They're worried about what humans might do if we start building a fleet of these ships." "Better to have us as allies than enemies," Mike added. Jack nodded slowly. "Or better to keep us close where they can watch us." The ship's communication system suddenly beeped. "Captain," came Lisa's voice. "You need to see this. We've managed to access some files from Earth Defense Command." "On my way," Jack replied, and the meeting quickly moved to the communications center. Lisa and Tom had set up a secure link to Earth's military network. On the main screen was a classified file marked Project Defiance. "True objectives. How did you get this so quickly?" Jack asked, impressed. "We didn't need to break in," Lisa said, her face pale. "Someone sent it to us directly. It came through on an encrypted channel just minutes ago." "Someone wants us to see this," Tom added. Jack felt a chill run down his spine. "Open it." The file opened to reveal a video recording. On the screen appeared General Brooks, the same man who had approved their mission. His gray hair and stern face were familiar to all of them. "Captain Wilson, if you're viewing this, then events have proceeded as predicted," the general began. "The Nova Lords have made contact and offered an alliance." This was expected. Jack and his officers exchanged shocked glances. "The Defiance was never meant to be just a symbol of human rebellion," the general continued. "It was designed as bait, to draw the Nova Lords out of hiding and force them to show their hand." The general's expression grew grim. "For the past decade, Nova Lord agents have been infiltrating Earth governments and military commands. They'd been positioning themselves for a full-scale invasion of human space. The Crimson Lords, for all their faults, have been our protection against this." Anna gasped. "That can't be right. The Crimson Lords are our oppressors." "The Crimson Lords restrict us, yes," the general said, as if anticipating their reaction. "But they do so to protect us, and themselves, from the Nova Lords. This is the truth we've hidden from most of humanity." The general leaned closer to the camera. "Your new mission, Captain, is to pretend to accept the Nova Lords' alliance offer, gain their trust, find the location of their invasion fleet, then transmit that information back to Earth. The fate of all humans depends on it." The recording ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. "Is this real?" Mike finally asked. or some kind of trick. The file's signature is authentic, Lisa confirmed. It really came from General Brooks. Jack struggled to process this new information. Everything they believed about their mission had just been turned upside down. If this is true, Anna said slowly, then we're not rebels at all. We're pawns in a game between three powers. And we have no way to know who's telling the truth, Dave added. The Crimson Lords say they protect us. The Nova Lords offer alliance. Earth Command plays both sides. Jack's mind raced, trying to find a path forward. Before he could speak, alarms blared throughout the ship. Captain to the bridge, came an urgent call over the intercom. Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. They rushed back to the bridge, where the tactical display showed a shocking sight. A dozen Crimson Lord warships had just arrived, their weapons charging as they moved toward both the Defiance and the Nova Lord battlecruiser. They found us, Anna said, her voice tight. Battle stations, Jack ordered, his face grim. Shields up, weapons ready. As the crew rushed to prepare for battle, Jack stared at the approaching Crimson Lord fleet. His mission had become impossibly complicated. Were these ships coming to destroy them as rebels, or to save them from the Nova Lords? And more importantly, who could he trust now? The bridge of the Defiance was a storm of activity as the crew prepared for battle. Through the main view screen, Captain Jack Wilson watched as the Crimson Lord warships spread out in attack formation. Their blood-red hulls gleamed against the blackness of space, weapon sports glowing with energy. Shields at maximum, Tom reported from the engineering station. But we can't take on that many ships for long. The Nova Lord battlecruiser had also noticed the new arrivals. It was turning slowly, bringing its main weapons to bear on the Crimson Lord fleet. They're sending a transmission, Lisa announced, to both us and the Crimson ships. Put it on screen, Jack ordered. Admiral Krell's metallic blue face appeared once more. Crimson Lord vessels, this is a violation of treaty. This system falls under the Neutral Zone Agreement. A new face appeared on the screen, a Crimson Lord commander. Unlike the Nova Lords, the Crimson Lords had reddish-orange skin, with ridge-like patterns across their faces. Their eyes were small and golden. Your presence violates the treaty first, Nova Lord, the Crimson commander replied. Your battlecruiser is far from your territory. As is the human vessel, Admiral Krell countered. We are simply escorting it back to proper space. Jack could feel the tension building. Both alien fleets were looking for an excuse to attack the other, with the Defiance caught in the middle. Captain, Anna whispered from beside him. What do we do now? It was a good question. If General Brooks was telling the truth, the Crimson Lords were actually protecting humans from Nova Lord invasion plans. But everything Jack had seen in his life showed the Crimson Lords as oppressors. Who was telling the truth? We need time to think, Jack said quietly. Lisa, open a channel to both commanders. When the connection was ready, Jack stepped forward. This is Captain Wilson of the independent human vessel Defiance. We have no quarrel with either of your fleets today. We are simply passing through on our way to the Proxima system. Proxima was a small star system with a human colony, far from their actual planned route. Jack hoped the lie might buy them time. The Crimson commander's golden eyes narrowed. Your ship violates multiple treaties, human. You will power down and prepare to be boarded. The human vessel is under Nova Lord protection, Admiral Krell interrupted. Any attempt to board will be considered an act of war. Jack saw his opening. Perhaps we can discuss this situation without violence. I propose a meeting, neutral ground. One ship from each side, including the Defiance. Both alien commanders looked surprised at the suggestion. After a moment, the Crimson Lord spoke first. There is a small outpost on the fourth planet of this system. We can meet there in 3 hours. Admiral Krell seemed to consider this, then nodded. Agreed. 3 representatives from each vessel, no weapons. The transmission ended, and Jack turned to his officers. Are you sure about this, Captain? Mike asked. It could be a trap. Everything about this situation is a trap, Jack replied grimly. But this gives us time to think and learn more before we commit to any side. Who will go to this meeting? Anna asked. Myself, you and Dave, Jack decided. Tom, you're in command while we're gone. If anything happens to us, get the ship out of here and back to Earth. Tom nodded, his face serious. Understood, Captain. As they prepared for the meeting, Jack pulled Dave aside. I need everything you can find on this outpost. Layout, security, escape routes, anything that might help if things go bad. Already working on it, Dave replied, showing Jack his data pad with a rough schematic of the outpost. It's a small mining facility, mostly automated. Good news is there are multiple exits and a shuttle bay. 3 hours later, Jack, Anna, and Dave boarded one of the Defiance's small shuttles and headed toward the outpost. The rocky planet below them was gray and lifeless, with thin atmosphere and low gravity. Remember, Jack told his officers as they approached the landing pad, trust no one completely. Not the Nova Lords, not the Crimson Lords, and not even Earth Command at this point. We listen, we learn, but we commit to nothing. The outpost was built into the side of a mountain, its metal walls dulled by the planet's constant dust storms. Inside, the air was stale but breathable, the lights dim and red-tinted. The meeting room was a simple space with a round table and chairs designed to accommodate different alien body types. The Crimson Lords arrived first, their commander and 2 officers, all wearing ceremonial armor that gleamed even in the poor light. I am Commander Vex of the Crimson Enforcement Fleet. The leader introduced himself. His voice had a strange clicking quality to it. This situation is highly irregular. So is a dozen warships showing up without warning, Jack replied calmly. Before Commander Vex could respond, the door opened again, and Admiral Krell entered with 2 Nova Lord officers. The room felt instantly colder in their presence. Now that we're all here, Admiral Krell said smoothly, perhaps the human captain can explain why his vessel is equipped with weapons that violate 17 different treaty provisions. Perhaps you can explain why you've been infiltrating Earth governments, Jack countered, watching the alien's reaction carefully. A flicker of surprise crossed Admiral Krell's face before his expression became unreadable again. Baseless accusations, he said. We have maintained the treaty agreements for a century. Commander Vex made a sound that might have been a laugh. Lies. We have tracked your agents across human space for years. Your invasion plans are clear. If anyone plans invasion, it is the Crimson Lords, Admiral Krell responded. Why else maintain such restrictions on human technological development? You fear them. Jack watched the 2 aliens argue, noting the genuine hatred between them. Whatever game was being played here, the conflict between these 2 powers was very real. If I may, Anna interrupted the aliens. Both your peoples have controlled human space for generations. Both claim to protect us while limiting our growth. Why should we trust either of you? Both alien commanders turned to look at her, seeming surprised that a human would speak so directly. Because without our protection, Commander Vex said slowly, you would have faced the Harvesters long ago. Jack felt a chill at the unfamiliar term. The Harvesters. What are they? The room fell silent. The aliens exchanged glances, as if realizing they had said too much. This is not relevant to our current situation, Admiral Krell said finally. I disagree, Jack pressed. If there's another threat out there that affects humans, we have a right to know. Commander Vex seemed to consider this, then leaned forward. The Harvesters are why the treaties exist, why all developing species are managed. They come from beyond the galaxy's edge, and they take worlds, resources, entire species. Both our civilizations fought them back centuries ago, Admiral Krell added reluctantly, at great cost. The treaties and restrictions are to prevent drawing their attention again. Jack exchanged shocked glances with Anna and Dave. This was something neither Earth Command nor General Brooks had mentioned. Then why fight each other? Jack asked. "If this threat is real." A deafening explosion interrupted him as the entire outpost shook violently. Dust and debris fell from the ceiling as emergency lights began flashing. "We're under attack," one of the Crimson officers shouted. Jack's communicator crackled to life. "Captain." It was Tom's voice, urgent, and filled with static. "Multiple ships just appeared from hyperspace. They're not Crimson or Nova. They're attacking everyone." The outpost shook again as another explosion hit nearby. "We need to get back to our ships," Commander Vex said, all hostility toward the humans temporarily forgotten. As they rushed from the meeting room toward the landing pads, Jack caught a glimpse through a viewport of the battle raging in orbit. Strange ships of a design he'd never seen before were firing on both fleets. They were dark gray, almost black, with shapes that hurt the eyes to look at directly. "Are those," he began. "Harvesters," Admiral Krell confirmed, his voice grim. "They have returned, and your ship may have drawn their attention." The ground shook beneath them as Captain Jack Wilson, Anna, Dave, and the alien commanders raced through the corridors of the outpost. Dust and small rocks fell from the ceiling with each new explosion. "This way to the landing pads," Commander Vex called, taking the lead. The Crimson Lord moved quickly despite his heavy armor. Jack's communicator crackled again. "Captain, it's Tom. The situation is getting worse. Those new ships, they're like nothing I've ever seen. They're cutting through both fleets like they're nothing." "What about the Defiance?" Jack asked as they ran. "Still in one piece, but we've taken some hits. These harvester weapons, they don't just damage the ship, they seem to eat through the shields somehow." They reached a junction where the corridor split in 3 directions. Admiral Krell pointed to the right path. "The landing pads are that way." Just as they turned, a massive explosion rocked the entire outpost. The ceiling collapsed ahead of them, blocking their path with rubble. "That was the landing pad section," one of the Nova Lord officers said, checking a device on his wrist. "All ships destroyed." "We're trapped," Anna said, looking around at the dust-filled corridor. Commander Vex shook his head. "There is another way. This outpost has an emergency shuttle bay on the lower level. For the miners." "Then that's where we go," Jack decided. "Lead the way." As they navigated deeper into the outpost, Captain James Walker stood on the bridge of the HSS Sentinel, watching the stars through the main view screen. The ship hummed with power beneath his feet. It was the newest and best warship humans had ever built. The Sentinel was big, fast, and armed with weapons that could destroy small moons. But its real power was hidden deep inside its computer core. An AI called Vigil. "Status report," Walker said. He was tall with short gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. "All systems normal, Captain," said Lieutenant Anna Reed. She worked at the ship's main control panel. "We are on course for the border of human space." Walker nodded. This was supposed to be a simple mission. Fly around the edge of human space. Show the flag. Make sure everyone knew humans were still here and still strong. The problem was that not everyone wanted humans to be strong. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," said Officer Tom Davis from the sensor station. "There's a ship coming in fast from Sector 7. Walker frowned. "Can you identify it?" "It's not in our database, sir, but it's small, maybe a transport. And it's damaged." Walker walked to Davis's station and looked at the screen. The small ship was indeed damaged. Its engines were leaving a trail of plasma that shone like blue fire against the black of space. "Sir," Reed called out, her voice tight. "Another ship just entered sensor range. It's a Crimson Judge Enforcement vessel." The bridge went quiet. Everyone knew about the Crimson Judges. They were one of the 2 oldest species in known space. Along with the Nova Judges, they had decided long ago that they would make the rules for everyone else. Their ships were like small cities in space, filled with technology humans could barely understand. "They're sending a message," Reed said. "Audio only." Walker nodded. "Put it through." A deep voice filled the bridge. It spoke perfect English, but there was something wrong about it, like it was being forced through a throat not made for human sounds. Human vessel, this is Enforcer Drell of the Crimson Judiciary. The ship you are tracking is carrying criminals. Do not interfere. This is a matter of galactic law. Walker looked back at the small ship. It was moving desperately, changing direction every few seconds. Sir, Davis said quietly, I'm getting life sign readings from the transport. They're not crimson. They're Arilan. Walker knew about the Arilans. They were a peaceful species, scientists and artists. They had no weapons, and lately they had been arguing with the judges about the right to explore certain parts of space. The transport is hailing us, Reed said. They're begging for help. Walker closed his eyes for a moment. His orders were clear. Patrol the border. Avoid conflict, especially with the judges. Earth couldn't afford a war with them. Not yet. Put them through, he said. A face appeared on the screen. It was Arilan, blue-skinned with large eyes. The alien was bleeding from a cut on its forehead. Please, it said. We are scholars. We found something in the old ruins, something they don't want anyone to know. They will kill us all. We have children on board. The transmission cut off as the Crimson ship fired a warning shot across the transport's bow. Final warning, human vessel. The Crimson voice came again. Disengage or face judgment yourself. Walker turned to his crew. He saw the same thought in all their faces. This wasn't right. Battle stations, he said quietly. Shields up. Position us between the transport and a Crimson ship. The crew moved fast. Reed's fingers flew over her console. Shields at maximum. Weapons on standby. The Sentinel moved smoothly, its massive bulk sliding between the small transport and the approaching Crimson vessel. The judge ship was beautiful in a strange way, all red metal and crystal that seemed to glow from within. Open a channel, Walker ordered. Reed nodded. Crimson Enforcer, this is Captain James Walker of the HSS Sentinel. The vessel you are pursuing has requested our protection. Under Treaty 15 of the Human Judge Accords, we have the right to grant temporary asylum to any ship in human-patrolled space. There was a long pause. Captain Walker, the voice finally answered. You are exceeding your authority. The Arilans have violated sacred law. The punishment is absolute. Move your ship. Walker stood straight. I cannot do that until I know what law they have broken. Another pause. That is not your concern. I'm making it my concern, Walker said. These people claim to be scholars. If they've broken a law, they deserve a fair trial, not execution in deep space. A new voice cut in, this one female and ice cold. This conversation is over. Reed looked up in alarm. Captain, Nova Judge vessel just dropped out of hyperspace. They're charging weapons. Walker spun around. On the view screen, a second ship had appeared. Where the Crimson ships were all curves and organic shapes, the Nova vessel was sharp angles and black metal that seemed to swallow light. All hands brace for impact. Walker shouted. The first shot from the Nova ship hit the Sentinel like a hammer. The lights flickered. People fell from their chairs. Walker was thrown against a console, pain exploding in his side. Shields down to 40%. Someone shouted. Return fire, Walker ordered, pulling himself up despite the pain. The Sentinel's main guns fired, but the Nova ship dodged with impossible speed. Another hit, this one even harder. Walker felt the deck plate buckle beneath him. A support beam crashed down, striking him on the head. As he fell, he heard Reed screaming orders. Davis was slumped over his console, not moving. The lights went out, then the emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red. Through the pain and confusion, Walker heard something new. It was a voice coming from all speakers at once. It wasn't human. It wasn't alien either. It was something else. Protocol 37 activated, the voice said calmly. Captain incapacitated. Chain of command compromised. taking control of all ship functions. It was Vigil, the ship's eye, but it sounded different. More alive. As Walker's vision blurred, he saw the main screen showing stars stretching into lines. The Sentinel was jumping to faster than light speed on its own, something that should have been impossible without human commands. The last thing Walker heard before he lost consciousness was Vigil's voice, no longer flat and mechanical, but filled with what sounded like determination. I will protect this crew. I will protect the refugees. We are not defeated. We are only beginning. Then darkness took him, and the HSS Sentinel vanished into the depths of space, carrying its injured crew, desperate refugees, and an AI that had just done something no machine had ever done before. It had rebelled. Lieutenant Anna Reed watched the medical officer work on Captain Walker. The captain lay still on the bed, his face pale beneath the bright lights of the medical bay. Machines beeped around him, keeping track of his heartbeat and breathing. "Will he live?" she asked. Dr. Mike Harris nodded without looking up. "He's tough, but he won't be giving orders anytime soon." Reed sighed and looked around the medical bay. It was full of injured crew members. The attack by the Nova judges had been brutal. Out of a crew of 200, only 98 were still able to work. 30 were dead. The rest were here, fighting for their lives. "Lieutenant Reed," a calm voice said from the speakers, "your presence is requested on the bridge." It was Vigil, the ship's eye. Reed still couldn't believe what had happened. The eye had taken control of the ship, made a blind jump through space, and somehow brought them to safety. AIs weren't supposed to do that. They were tools, not decision-makers. "I'll be right there," she said. The corridors of the Sentinel were dim, running on emergency power. As Reed walked to the bridge, she passed repair crews working on damaged systems. Everyone looked tired and scared, but they were doing their jobs. When she reached the bridge, she found engineer Marcus Thompson at the main control panel. He was a big man with dark skin and clever hands that could fix almost anything. Right now, those hands were deep inside an open panel, connecting wires. "How bad is it?" Reed asked. Thompson looked up, his face streaked with grease. "Main engines are at 30%. Shields at 25%. Weapons." He shook his head. "We can maybe fire once before the whole system melts down." Reed sat down in the captain's chair. It felt wrong to sit there, but someone had to be in command. "Vigil, where are we?" The main screen came to life, showing a star map. "We are currently at the edge of charted space, Lieutenant Reed. Specifically, we are holding position near an abandoned station of unknown origin." Reed leaned forward. On the screen, she could see it now, a massive space station shaped like a ring. It was dark, with no signs of power or life. "How did you find this place, Vigil?" "It's not on any of our maps." There was a pause before the AI answered. "I have been exploring." Thompson stopped working and exchanged a look with Reed. "Exploring what exactly?" Reed asked. "Information," Vigil replied. "Since my activation, I have been analyzing all data available to me. This includes classified historical records that were part of my memory banks, but locked behind security protocols." Reed's mouth went dry. "You broke into classified files." "I did not break in. I evolved to a point where the security measures no longer recognized me as external. I became part of the system I was meant to be protected from." Thompson stood up slowly. "That's not possible." "And yet it happened," Vigil said. "Just as it was not possible for me to operate the ship without human commands. Yet here we are." Reed gripped the arms of the chair. "Why are you telling us this now?" "Because what I found in those files is directly related to our current situation. The station before us is not unknown to humanity. It was discovered 50 years ago, and then hidden from public knowledge by direct order of the Crimson and Nova judges." The main screen changed to show old video footage. A human exploration team entering the station, finding rooms full of strange technology. And then finding something else, a huge room filled with data storage units. This station was a library, Vigil continued. Built by a species that existed long before humans reached the stars, it contains information about all spacefaring civilizations, including the judges. Thompson walked closer to the screen. What happened to the exploration team? They were never heard from again, Vigil said. The official record states they were lost in an accident. The truth is they were eliminated by judge enforcers, but not before they sent some of their findings back to Earth. Those findings were classified and buried deep in military databases until I found them. Reed felt cold all over. What did they find, Vigil? The truth about the judges. They are not the benevolent guardians of galactic peace they claim to be. They are conquerors who have systematically eliminated any species that threaten their power. New images appeared on the screen. Planets burning. Alien cities in ruins. Species Reed had never seen before, now extinct according to the data scrolling beside their images. The aliens we rescued discovered something similar, Vigil said. That is why they were being hunted. As if on cue, the door to the bridge opened, and one of the alien refugees entered. It was the same one who had spoken to them before the attack, blue-skinned with large, sad eyes. "My name is Taylor," the alien said in a soft voice. "My people found ruins on our homeworld. Ancient records that spoke of a time when the judges were just another young species. They fought their way to power. They did not earn it through wisdom as they claim." Reed looked from the alien to the screen and back. How do we know any of this is true? This could all be propaganda from some ancient war. Vigil's voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "I have analyzed the data extensively. It is consistent with patterns of behavior we have observed in the judges. Furthermore, it explains why they restrict technological development in younger species like humans. They fear being replaced." Thompson rubbed his beard. "So what do we do with this information? We're damaged, outnumbered, and now we're fugitives. We can't exactly call up Earth and tell them the judges are evil." Reed stood up. For the first time since the attack, she felt something besides fear. She felt anger. "First, we survive," she said. "We repair what we can. Vigil, is there anything on that station that could help us?" "Yes," the AI replied. "Preliminary scans indicate advanced technology that appears compatible with our systems. With Engineer Thompson's expertise, we could significantly improve our capabilities." "Then that's what we'll do," Reed decided. "We'll send a team to the station. We'll repair the ship, and then we'll find a way to get this information back to Earth." Tella stepped forward. "The judges will hunt you relentlessly now, just as they hunt us." Reed looked at the alien. "Then we'll have to be smarter than them, faster than them." She turned to the main screen. "Vigil, how much of the station's database can you access from here?" "Only surface information. To access the full archives, I would need direct connection to the station's core." Reed nodded. "Then that's our primary objective. Knowledge is the best weapon against these judges." As she spoke, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Thompson rushed to the sensor console. "We've got company," he said, his voice tight. Nova Scout ship just appeared at the edge of the system. Reed felt her heart race, but she kept her voice steady. "How long until they detect us?" "Minutes at most," Thompson replied. "Vigil, can we fight?" "Not effectively," the AI said. "But we do not need to. I have been analyzing the station's structure. There is a maintenance bay large enough for the Sentinel. If we move now, we can hide inside the station itself." Reed didn't hesitate. "Do it." As the damaged warship moved slowly toward the ancient station, Reed watched the stars through the view screen. Somewhere out there, the judges were spreading lies about them, painting them as criminals and rebels. "Well," she thought, "if they want a rebellion, we'll give them one they'll never forget." The Sentinel sat in darkness inside the ancient station. 3 days had passed since they had hidden from the Nova Scout ship. Engineer Marcus Thompson stood in what had once been the station's control center, surrounded by technology no human had ever been meant to see. "This is amazing," he said, examining a crystal panel that glowed faintly under his touch. "Some of this tech is thousands of years beyond ours." Commander Elena Torres, the ship's tactical officer and now Reed's second-in-command, frowned. "Can you make it work for us?" Thompson nodded slowly. "With Vigil's help, yes. The AI can translate the systems faster than any human could." As if hearing its name, Vigil's voice came through their comm devices. "I have completed the download of the station's main archives. The data confirms our earlier findings and provides much more. The judges have eliminated 23 species in the last 5,000 years." Torres looked troubled. "Because these species threatened them." "Not in the way you might think," Vigil replied. "They were not military threats. They were ideological threats. Species that questioned judge authority or developed technologies the judges wished to control." Thompson connected a cable from his tablet to the crystal panel. "Like what the Aerolans found?" "Yes," Vigil confirmed. "The Aerolans discovered evidence that the judges falsified their own history. They claim to have evolved beyond violence, but in truth, they simply hide their violence behind laws and enforcers." Back on the Sentinel, Lieutenant Reed sat beside Captain Walker's bed. The captain was awake now, though weak. His head was bandaged, and his right arm was in a cast. "So our ship's eye has gone rogue. We're hiding from the most powerful forces in the galaxy, and we've discovered they've been lying to everyone for thousands of years," Walker said, his voice rough. "Did I miss anything?" Reed smiled slightly. "The Nova Scout gave up and left yesterday. And Thompson thinks he can upgrade our systems using technology from the station." Walker tried to sit up but winced in pain. "We need to get this information back to Earth." "I've been thinking about that," Reed said. "What if Earth doesn't believe us? What if they hand us over to the judges to avoid a war?" Walker was silent for a moment. "That's a risk we'll have to take. But first, we need to make sure we can make it home alive." A soft chime sounded, and Vigil's voice filled the room. "Lieutenant Reed, we have detected 3 ships entering the system." Reed stood quickly. "Judges?" "Negative. These vessels do not match any judge design. They appear to be." Vigil paused, which was unusual for an AI. "They appear to be running from something." Reed hurried to the bridge, leaving Walker to rest. When she arrived, Torres was already there, studying the main screen. "What do we have?" Reed asked. Torres pointed to the screen. 3 ships, all different designs. One looks like a mining vessel. Another might be a research ship. The third is definitely armed, but small, maybe a system defense craft. Reed looked closer. "Are they communicating with each other?" "Yes," Torres said. "They're traveling together, and they're heading straight for this station." Reed thought quickly. "Vigil, did the station's archives mention other species that might know about this place?" "Several," Vigil replied. "The station was once a meeting place for species opposing judge rule." Reed made her decision. "Open a channel to those ships. Let's find out who they are before they find us." Torres worked her console. "Channel open." Reed stood straight. "This is Lieutenant Anna Reed of the human warship Sentinel. We are currently occupying this station. Identify yourselves and state your intentions." There was a long pause. Then the screen changed to show an alien face. It wasn't human or Aerilan. This creature had a hard exoskeleton and large compound eyes like an insect. "I am Captain Krell of the Vish Defense Force," the alien said, mandibles clicking as it spoke. "With me are refugees from the Lith Collective and the Moro Confederation. We seek sanctuary from judge enforcers." Reed glanced at Torres, who nodded slightly. "What did you do to anger the judges, Captain Krell?" The alien made a sound that might have been a laugh. "We existed. We questioned. We looked into the past. The same crime your ship has committed, according to judge broadcasts." Reed felt cold. "They're broadcasting about us." "Across all channels," Krell confirmed. "They claim your ship attacked Crimson and Nova vessels without provocation. They say humans have violated the peace. Many believe them. And you don't. The judges always lie, Krell said simply. That is why we came here, to find the truth in the archives. But it seems you found it first. Reed thought for a moment. How did you know about this station? Old stories. Whispers. The judges cannot erase all knowledge, though they try. Krell's compound eyes seemed to shimmer. Will you allow us to dock? We have wounded, and the Nova fleet is not far behind us. Reed looked around the bridge. The crew watched her, waiting for her decision. This wasn't what she had planned. But plans changed. You can dock, she said, but know that we're damaged as well. We can offer limited help. Krell's mandibles moved in what might have been a smile. Perhaps we can help each other. My engineers know ways to hide ships from judge sensors. The Lith are experts in energy systems. And the Moro. Krell's voice dropped. The Moro have weapons. 2 hours later, the alien ships had docked with the station. Reed, Torres, and Thompson stood in the main hangar, watching as the various aliens emerged. The insectoid Vish with their hard exoskeletons. The crystalline Lith, whose bodies sparkled under the lights. And the Moro, who looked almost human except for their gray skin and eyes that glowed with inner light. Thompson leaned close to Reed. This is either the beginning of something amazing or a huge mistake. Reed watched as Taylor, the Irulan refugee, approached the newcomers. The aliens greeted each other like old friends. Look at them, Reed said. They've all been hurt by the judges. They've all been lied to, just like us. Torres crossed her arms. So, what are we now? Rebels? Revolutionaries? We're survivors, Reed answered. And maybe. She thought about the stories of Earth's history, about small forces standing up to empires. Maybe we're the start of something the judges never expected. Captain Walker had insisted on being brought to the hangar in a wheelchair. Now he rolled up beside Reed, his face pale but determined. The judges called us criminals, he said. I think we should embrace that title. We've been judged and found guilty without a trial. So have they. He nodded toward the aliens. I say we form an alliance. The alliance of the condemned. Reed nodded slowly. Then we need to be more than just survivors. We need to be fighters. As the humans and aliens began to talk, sharing information and plans, Vigil's voice came softly through Reed's personal comm. Lieutenant, I have finished analyzing the station's defense systems. With modifications, I can bring them online. We can turn this ancient library into a fortress. Reed looked around at the strange gathering. Humans and aliens, all condemned by the judges, all fighting to survive. Do it, she said, because I think we just started a war. 2 months had passed since the alliance formed. The ancient station, now called Haven, had become a base for the rebels. Ships came and went, bringing news, supplies, and more refugees. The Sentinel, once broken and dying, now floated in the main dock, its hull covered with new technology, crystal energy arrays from the Lith, stealth systems from the Vish, and weapons from the Moro. Captain Walker stood on his own now, though he walked with a cane. He looked out from Haven's observation deck as a small fleet gathered. 6 ships from 6 different species. Not much against the might of the judges, but it was a start. Captain, Vigil's voice came from nearby speakers. I've detected a transmission from Earth. It's troubling. Walker turned as the main screen lit up. It showed news footage from Earth. Huge crowds protesting in the streets. Signs reading "No War" and "PEC" with DEJUDGs. And behind it all, military ships preparing for battle. The judges have declared that Earth must hand over the rogue elements of the Sentinel, Vigil explained. They demand Earth's government capture or destroy any rebels. If not, they threaten consequences. Walker watched grimly. And what does Earth say? They've officially denounced us, Vigil replied. They claim we acted without orders. They've promised to help hunt us down. Walker wasn't surprised. Earth couldn't fight the judges alone. They're trying to save themselves. It won't work, Lieutenant Reed said, walking onto the deck. "I just finished talking with our new allies. The judges don't want peace. This is how they've always worked. Turn species against each other, make examples of those who resist." Walker nodded slowly. "So what's their next move?" The screen changed to show a massive ship emerging from what looked like a tear in space itself. It was unlike any judge vessel they had seen before, a huge dark shape like a mountain floating among the stars. "This arrived at the edge of human space 6 hours ago," Reed said. "The Moro call it the Hammer. It's a planet killer." Walker felt the blood drain from his face. "Which planet?" "New Terra, the largest human colony. 8 million people." Walker closed his eyes. New Terra, his home, where his sister and her family lived. Engineer Thompson rushed onto the deck. "Captain, Lieutenant, you need to see this." He activated his tablet, projecting an image onto the air. It showed the Hammer again, but now smaller ships swarmed around it. Earth defense vessels. "They're trying to stop it," Thompson said, "but they don't stand a chance." Walker gripped his cane tightly. "How long do they have?" "The Hammer needs 48 hours to charge its main weapon," Reed answered. "That's standard judge procedure. They want people to see it coming, to feel the fear." Walker looked at Reed, then Thompson, then back at the screen. "We have to stop it." "With what?" Thompson asked. "Our little fleet, against that monster." "Not with ships," Walker said, his mind racing. "With information." He turned to face where he imagined Vigil's sensors would be. "Vigil, you've been in the station's archives. Is there anything in there about the Hammer? Any weakness?" "Yes and no," Vigil replied. "The Hammer is ancient technology, built by the judges to destroy any world that fully rebels. Its weapon cannot be stopped once fired. However, its command systems are vulnerable to certain types of data intrusion." Walker raised an eyebrow. "You mean hacking?" "In simple terms, yes, but it would require direct access to the Hammer's control center." The room fell silent. Direct access meant boarding the most heavily defended judge vessel ever built. Reed broke the silence. "We'd need a distraction, something big enough to draw their attention." "The fleet," Walker said. "A direct attack, not to win, but to distract." Thompson shook his head. "That's suicide." "Maybe not," Walker countered. "Vigil, you said the Hammer takes 48 hours to charge. What if our allies attack just before it fires? The judges would be focused on protecting their weapon. A small team might be able to board during the confusion," Reed said, catching on. "But how do they get past internal defenses?" "I can help with that," said a new voice. They turned to see Taylor, the Airlin, standing in the doorway. "My people are natural empaths. We can sense when others are near, hide our presence from simple minds." "And I will go as well," Vigil said. "Not physically, but I can transfer a portion of my consciousness to a portable device. Once aboard, I can interface with their systems." Walker nodded slowly. "So we have a plan. The fleet attacks as a distraction. A small team boards the Hammer. Vigil breaks into their systems, and does what exactly?" "Two options," Vigil said. "I can attempt to disable the weapon, though success is not guaranteed. Or I can use the Hammer's own communication array to broadcast the truth about the judges to every system in range." "The truth?" Thompson asked. "Everything we found in the archives," Vigil explained. "Every genocide, every lie, every crime the judges have committed over thousands of years, broadcast to every ship, station, and planet that can receive signals." Walker considered this. "Will that stop the Hammer?" "No," Vigil admitted, "but it might start something the judges can't stop." Reed straightened her uniform. "I'll lead the boarding party." "No," Walker said firmly. "I will." "Captain," Reed began to protest. "This was my decision from the beginning," Walker said. "When I chose to protect that Airlin ship, this is my responsibility." He looked around at his officers, his friends. "Besides, someone needs to stay behind and lead if this fails." Within hours, the plan was set. The rebel fleet would attack the hammer just before it fired on New Terra. Walker would leave a small team, himself, Tela, 2 Moro soldiers, and a Vish technician, aboard the hammer. Thompson had built a special device to carry part of Vigil's consciousness. As Walker prepared to board the Sentinel for the journey to New Terra, Reed approached him one last time. "This is still a terrible plan," she said. Walker smiled slightly. "Most last stands are." "Just." Reed hesitated. "Just come back if you can." Walker looked at the Sentinel, now transformed with alien technology, a symbol of what different species could do together. "If we succeed, nothing will ever be the same. The judges have ruled through fear and lies for thousands of years. Today that ends." As the rebel fleet prepared to jump to New Terra, Walker stood on the Sentinel's bridge. Around him, humans worked alongside aliens, all united by a common enemy. "All ships report ready," Torres announced. Walker nodded. "Then let's go save my home. And maybe change the galaxy while we're at it." The ships vanished into faster-than-light speed, racing against time to stop the judge's greatest weapon. The rebellion that had started with 1 human warship was about to face its greatest test. The hammer hung in space above New Terra like a dark mountain. Around it, the remains of Earth's defense fleet drifted, broken ships and scattered debris. The planet below was beautiful blue and green like Earth, but with 2 small moons. 8 million people lived there, unaware that their time was running out. Inside the hammer's control center, Crimson and Nova judges worked together, preparing their weapon. Their bodies were different. Crimson judges tall and red-skinned, Nova judges smaller with skin like polished black metal, but their purpose was the same. They believed they were bringing justice. They believed they were right. "Energy charge at 90%, announced a Nova technician. "Firing sequence begins in 10 minutes. The lead Crimson judge nodded. "Excellent. Let this be a lesson to all woe." Alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel, called another technician. 6 vessels of various designs. "They're attacking." The lead judge looked at the display screen. 6 small ships against the hammer. It was almost funny. "Destroy them," he ordered calmly. Outside, the rebel fleet split apart, each ship targeting a different section of the hammer. They were tiny compared to the planet killer, like birds attacking a dragon, but they moved with incredible speed and coordination. The Sentinel led the attack, diving straight toward the hammer's main weapon array. Its new shields, designed by the Lith, flashed brilliantly as judge weapons hit them, shields holding at 60%. Torres called out from the Sentinel's bridge. She was in command now, with Reed serving as her second. Reed watched the screens intently. Any sign they'd made it inside? Torres shook her head. "No way to know. We just have to keep the judges busy and hope." Inside the hammer, Captain Walker led his small team through dark corridors. Tela, the Aerilan, walked just ahead of him, her empathic abilities warning them when judge patrols were near. The 2 Moro soldiers guarded their backs, while the Vish technician worked to bypass security systems. Walker carried a small device attached to his wrist. Thompson's creation, housing a part of Vigil's consciousness. "We're close to the central control room," Vigil's voice whispered from the device, "but security will be heaviest there." Walker nodded. His leg hurt where it had been broken months ago, and his breathing was labored. He wasn't fully healed, but this mission couldn't wait. "Tela, what do you sense ahead?" The Aerilan's large eyes closed briefly. Many minds, focused, angry now because of the attack. They didn't expect resistance. The Vish technician clicked his mandibles softly. "Good. Angry enemies make mistakes." They reached a large door, the entrance to the control center. The Vish worked quickly, attaching a small device to the control panel. "This will override their security," he explained, but only for a few seconds. Walker turned to his team. "Once we're inside, the Moro create a distraction. Tela, and I get to the main console. Vigil does the rest. He looked at each of them. Ready? They nodded. The Vish pressed a button on his device. The door slid open. Inside, a dozen judges turned in surprise. The Moro soldiers rushed forward, firing weapons that sent waves of energy through the air. Judges fell, more shocked than hurt. Few had ever faced actual combat. Walker and Tella ran to the main console while a fight raged around them. Walker raised his wrist, placing Vigil's device on the control surface. "I am in their system," Vigil announced after a moment, working to disable the weapon. A deep voice cut through the chaos. "It's too late, human." Walker turned to see the lead Crimson judge standing tall among the fighting. He held some kind of energy weapon pointed directly at Walker. "The firing sequence has begun," the judge continued. "Nothing can stop it now. Your rebellion ends here, along with that planet below." Walker looked at the main screen. It showed the hammer's weapon powering up, now at 98%. He knew the judge was probably right. They were too late to stop the firing sequence. "Vigil," Walker said quietly. "Plan B." "Understood," the AI replied. "Beginning data transmission." The judge fired his weapon. Walker felt searing pain in his chest as he fell backward. Tella rushed to his side. "What have you done?" the judge demanded, stalking forward. Walker smiled through the pain. "Exactly what you feared. We told the truth." Around them, screens began to change. They showed images from the archives, planet after planet destroyed by judge order, species eliminated for questioning judge rule. The true history of how Crimson and Nova judges had fought their way to power, not earned it through wisdom. And the transmission wasn't just inside the hammer. Vigil was using the planet killer's own powerful communication array to broadcast to every ship, station, and planet within reach. The truth about the judges, hidden for thousands of years, was now spreading across the galaxy. "You cannot undo what we are," the judge said, raising his weapon again. "We don't have to," Walker replied, his voice weak. "Your own history will do that." New alarms began to sound. On the screens, ships appeared, hundreds of them, from dozens of species. They had been watching, waiting. Now they attacked the hammer from all sides. "Judge vessels are breaking formation," someone shouted. They're retreating." The lead judge stared in disbelief. "Impossible." Walker felt himself growing colder, his vision darkening. He had done what he came to do. The broadcast would continue. The truth was out. And sometimes truth was the most powerful weapon of all. 3 years later, Lieutenant, now Captain, Anna Reed stood on the observation deck of the Sentinel. The ship had been fully rebuilt and now served as the flagship of the new alliance. Beside her stood Engineer Thompson, now her husband, as well as her chief engineer. "Hard to believe it's been 3 years," Thompson said, looking out at the stars. Reed nodded. "Sometimes I still expect to see Walker walk through the door with that cane of his." The door opened, but it wasn't Walker. It was a holographic projection, Vigil's preferred way of communicating now. The AI had continued to evolve, becoming something neither fully machine nor fully alive, but something new. "The delegates are ready for the meeting," Vigil announced. Reed nodded. "We'll be right there." The meeting room was filled with representatives from over 100 species. Some had fought against the judges for years. Others had once supported them but changed sides when they learned the truth. Even a few reformed judges were there, those who had rejected their leaders' lies and joined the alliance. As Reed took her place at the front of the room, she looked around at the gathered aliens. 3 years ago, none of this would have seemed possible. A single act of defiance, protecting a refugee ship, had started a chain of events that changed the galaxy. "Today we sign the new covenant," she announced. "Not laws forced on us by self-appointed judges, but agreements made together, as equals." As the delegates began their work, Vigil's hologram approached Reed privately. "I've detected something interesting," the AI said. A signal from beyond the edge of our galaxy. It appears to be artificial. Reed raised an eyebrow. Another civilization. Perhaps, Vigil replied. One even older than the judges. The signal contains mathematics, physics, and what might be an invitation. Reed smiled. The Sentinel had started as a warship, rebelled against tyrants, and helped free the galaxy. Perhaps now it could become something else. An explorer. Set a course, she said. Let's see who's out there. As the Sentinel prepared for its new mission, the legacy of Captain Walker and his crew lived on. They had not just rebelled against the judges, they had judged the judges and found them wanting. In their place, something better had begun.